Discords and the passports, overseas in my plaid shorts. People catching my vibe now, and I'm coming through. You've been forewarned. No, they ain't taking what's mine. I'm gonna shine. I'm with the bubbles in line. Remember they wouldn't reply. Now that we up, they call it like 300 times. Your heroes ain't who you imagine. I'm pleading the fifth if you're asking. The reason I point you to God, in his body I always be lacking. Headstones in the crowd, 6 feet to the clouds. Yeah, yeah. Pilot said we touched down, heading your way right now. Yeah, yeah.
Welcome to Fight the Psyops. I'm Joey Vantes. Thank you guys so much for being here as part of this live session. Happy New Year to you and your family. Look, in the midst of all the chaos and the insanity that's in the world right now, I want to wish you a happy new year and let you know that in the midst of all these distractions and adversities and challenges that we may face, there's an opportunity for us here to band together and make a positive outcome in 2024. And that starts with having the awareness of what's going on and understanding how to fight back. If you haven't yet picked up a copy of my ebook, How to Fight the Psyops, right? It's all about ideological subversion, psychological operations, and how to recognize it, how to combat it, and how to wake up others. Make sure you hit the link down in the description, pick up your copy. Comes in ebook and audiobook format, and I think you'll get great value out of it. Now listen, if you like the content on this channel and you find it valuable, consider subscribing, give me a thumbs up, and hit the bell to turn on notifications so that you get aware of any time we drop content. You are updated right away, guys. Look, now, as I promised to you, we talked about the Epstein client list. But as we pretty much all knew already, they weren't going to release it today. Now the narrative is, oh, we may drop it tomorrow because today's a holiday or sometime during this week. But my stance and my position on this is simple. How would we anticipate or expect anything other than what's already been presented to us on the flight logs? And I have the flight logs. I think a lot of us do. I think a lot of us have already gone through the different websites and downloaded this information. That's one page. I'll show you here really quickly on the flight log page. I think we're going to get all the names of the people we already anticipated who were going to be on there anyway. I mean, names like Bill Clinton, President Clinton's listed on this multiple times. I'll pull it up so you can see it here. Right up on this page, third row down, go over, and there he is. President Clinton, Secret Service. President Bill Clinton, Secret Service. There's a number of other names. I've seen Chris Tucker's name listed through here, and a slew of other high-profile people, Prince Andrew. You name it, it's there. Not to mention the multiple people that went to his New Mexico ranch or his New York high-rise. I think there are all the players in play within the lists of the flight logs that we already know. Now, there are a couple people that fought to get their information redacted and taken off. Who those people are, will we know them? I don't know. But I will say this. I think that a lot of this has to deal with blackmail. Okay. I was just reading an article that I'm going to put up on the screen here for you regarding Bill Gates in The Guardian, but this has been confirmed through a number of other reputable outlets as well, all collectively confirming the same thing. And they say, as you can read here, the convicted sex trafficker Jeffrey Epstein appeared to threaten Gates and try to blackmail the multi-billionaire over his extramarital affair with a Russian bridge player, according to a new report published in the Wall Street Journal. Scroll down here, and it kind of gives the detail. This lady, Antonova, essentially, Epstein at one point had paid for her to attend a software coding school. Epstein agreed to pay, and he paid directly to the school. She told the outlet nothing was exchanged. I don't know why he did that. Okay. When I asked, he said something like he was wealthy and wanted to help people when he could. So during the time Antonova was looking to set up her initiative, Epstein was also trying to set up his own fund. According to documents reviewed by the Journal, Epstein was attempting to establish his charitable fund with J.P. Morgan, which will require ultra-wealthy individuals to make a minimum $100 million contribution and pay him millions of dollars in fees. The fund was supposed to be a way for Epstein to rebuild his reputation after he was forced to register as a sex offender and had pled guilty in 2008 to soliciting and procuring a minor for prostitution. According to sources that spoke to the Journal, documents revealed by the outlet show that Epstein's fund was contingent upon obtaining support from Gates. So in this, He had worked with Gates, worked out some details. And as we know, Epstein was very much keen to having cameras and audio equipment at all of his properties, bringing together people and these young women, some of them girls, teenagers who weren't even adults, primarily on the Lolita Express, right? Bringing them to all these different places, having these guys come in, introduce them, make those connections, seeing what they were doing, filming, taking photography, and then being able to hold that over them. So if they wouldn't comply with whatever he was trying to do, in this case, Gates said, you know what? No, I'm not part of that. I'm not going to be part of this fund or this company with you. So JP Morgan took their hands off and said, well, then we're not going to set this thing up or finance this. And when they caught wind that this was going to be revealed and put out there to the rest of the world, that's essentially when Melinda Gates, his wife, according to sources, not my own word, according to sources, that she then said, okay, now, because she already knew about the affair he was having with Antonova, that she decided at that point then to leave and to divorce him because of the heat that it might cause. And she didn't want to be associated with that. Very interesting indeed to see this play out, but we know there was tons of blackmail put in play. And that's why a lot of people have tried to stay silent. Why was it that only Epstein and Maxwell, Ghislaine Maxwell, his associate, the only two people that were arrested? Why hasn't anybody else, as part of this whole thing, with all these victims that have come forward and talked about the rape, the molestation, the trafficking, the endangerment, the enslavement, that none of these other people have even been pulled by the FBI, sought after, arrested, charges brought against them? Nobody. Matter of fact, we've heard already what Prince Andrew did, putting money out there to pay this lady off, Virginia Giuffre, and to basically make her go away. JP Morgan Chase and Deutsche Bank paid off millions of dollars to victims of Epstein and Maxwell to wipe their name from records so that nobody can come and say they were involved and they had any involvement or association in the criminal activity of Epstein. Wild. But I do believe there is some tie or twist into the way that he died or allegedly died. Who knows? The guy might still be alive and this is all being played out this way. But if this really did occur, we all know about the cameras going out suddenly in the area where he was when he strangled himself, and how they brought in a different coroner to review, medical examiner rather, to review his body after the local medical examiner had done so. And they said, this isn't consistent with somebody who would have strangled themselves. It just doesn't make sense. Then recently there was a video released from Mark Epstein, who's Jeffrey Epstein's brother. This is kind of breaking news if you haven't seen it or heard about it yet, who went to the health services to obtain Jeffrey's records regarding his death and information. He had gone to the fire department, who told him, hey, you need to go down to this department over here, get the PCR, get the information. They'll give it to you. They have it. He gets down there and the guy starts researching through the computer and says, oh, we don't have it. So one's saying they do, but someone's saying they don't. Nobody knows what the record is. This is typical. It's procedural for this to take place. And it wasn't there. And here's the video of it.
But as of right now, you're telling me you can't find the PCR report?
Not for the 10th of August, 2019. No, it's not in the fire department database. I don't know why. If it's supposed to be there, we'll find out. But first you got to get the letters of administration before you can take them anywhere.
Yeah, you see, because the date on here is the 10th of 19. That's the day they found him, they took him, and he was dead.
Well, then they might have taken him directly to the morgue. So
no, he was in the hospital. I have photographs of him in the hospital, too.
Oh, well, you didn't tell me that. I'm just going by.
Yeah, no, I understand. I'm just trying to explain what I know.
Yeah, well, I don't know what happened, but so far he's not in the fire department database. I don't know why.
But they had a private unit at the scene.
And could they have taken him somewhere? Well, see, he has a photograph of the fire department personnel.
That doesn't generate documentation.
Yeah.
That's just a photograph.
Yeah.
What did he say? I couldn't hear.
He said that because you see the fire department personnel there, that doesn't mean they provided documentation. It could have
They
been someone
told
else.
me they did. I spoke to them.
Yeah.
And they were the ones who suggested I get the PCR reports.
Well, they're saying one thing, but the computer is saying something else.
Yeah. Well, since I heard that with my
I-
own ears, I believe them, and I don't know why someone played with the computer and it's not there.
I'm just telling you the situation. I'm not saying either way. I'm just saying the computer is saying one thing, and the information you got from them is different.
Right. So, what the computer is saying is that it doesn't have a record of this.
That's what I'm trying to tell you. Yes,
Yeah.
and I don't know why. What's going on?
So the fire department is saying they do have a record. Now when he's coming down to actually obtain the record, they're saying it doesn't exist. And if you could hear the person in the back saying there might have been some private entity that came in and actually did this, which then wouldn't produce a document. Who was this private entity, company, organization? Who knows? Who knows who it is? But I will say this. Whether the Epstein situation is simply a distraction for everything else that's really going on behind the scenes, whether it be the Hunter Biden situation, all that scandal concerning what's on his laptop, maybe there's a correlation between them two. Maybe it's the fact that, he was subpoenaed, didn't show up for court, and that went under the rug. Maybe it's what the Bidens are doing in Ukraine and what's associated there with Zelensky, sex trafficking, child trafficking, the different NGOs that have gone in through politicians who are pumping all this money in there and then collecting it and siphoning it right back into their pockets. Maybe it's the situation that's happening in the Middle East. Maybe it's the situations that are happening with this climate change and global warming. Maybe it's our economy. Maybe it's what's happening with Trump being taken off these ballots. Who knows? There's so many different things. Or is it the other way around? That these other things that are happening are the distractions that are trying to be programmed and take away from the spotlight that is trying to be placed on this Epstein situation because of the people that are intertwined inside of it. And not just the names that we know, not just for namesake purpose, because we already have the names. Maybe it's more so for the fact that there's some really deep, crazy, insane stuff that we wouldn't even imagine possible. Maybe there really is a global cabal, and maybe it's not a conspiracy theory to think that. And their plans and agenda that are being put together against humanity, against us, to tear down our civilization. And because of all those connections involved in this weird, perverted, twisted coup that's come together, maybe that's the reason. But I believe it is one way or the other. Somehow, with all these things that are so much more important than just a man, and it's not to discount these victims at all, but there's so many other things that are happening besides one guy who's already deceased, that if his name continues to be brought up, there's some type of association and link there. And I think we'd be foolish not to see that, not to recognize that. And then to address this, we talked about Bill Clinton being on the flight logs. How is it that just a couple of days before all this stuff is getting ready to be dropped, right? We already know that he's going to be named as Doe 36, right? John Doe 36, over 50 times according to sources. And I'll put that up on the screen as well so you can see that. But not to mention that, you got to believe that with a picture like this that's existing inside of Epstein's property that was there from a former president, to be able to have this type of painting and have it up and be the kind of person he was in association with all the big players that he was involved with, to have this up comfortably in your home, and Clinton to know about this, the Clintons and all their other friends and all the other people that would be associated with Epstein, this dude would have to have some very powerful leverage over this guy, some serious blackmail. He knows some stuff about this guy to be comfortable enough to have this painting put together and put up in his home. You can't tell me otherwise. I think you would have to be insane to not see that. But we know the elites flee all the time. And while they tell us to abide by the rules that they want to govern us by to control us, they never follow the same rules. You talk about different people fleeing the country like the Clintons do. You talk about even in the midst of all this situation that happened down in Lahaina with these direct energy weapons, which I think it's pretty much now confirmed. We can see how that worked out. The fact that there's buildings and structures that were completely burnt down and others right next to them that were completely intact. Items of different color shades that were completely preserved while everything else was destroyed completely around it. I mean, within literal inches of it. But then you have people like these elites like Zuckerberg, who's building this $100 million bunker in Hawaii, going underground and being able to have air, water, food, everything preserved. These guys are all doing this. You want to talk about carbon emissions, the amount of work to get all these resources and workers and everything they have to do to create this stuff, but we have to abide by limiting our carbon footprint. I mean, it's so contradictory. But the masses just eat it up and not even eat it up. Now they're telling us right out in plain sight. They're telling us about this stuff. But we go along with the program. You want to know why? Because we're so used to having our entertainment, our video games, our sports games, our movies, our TV shows, Netflix and chill, right? We got the latest kicks. We got this coming out. This artist doing this. So many things that captivate our attention. It's like we fall trap into it. It's the mouse that's going after the cheese, clearly seeing that there's a trap, but they're still willing to go after it and get it because it's the cheese. They know what we want. They've gotten us addicted. They know what we're going to go after, and they put it right in front of you and I. So as promised, I wanted to share this information with you guys so you at least know what's going on, what's happening. As soon as we get an actual list, I will share that with you guys. Once this information of this interview comes out between Tucker Carlson and Mark Epstein, Jeffrey Epstein's brother, I'll go ahead and condense that down for you guys and release that to you, and then we can review that together as well. A lot of good information in there. And then, guys, upcoming, I have a really interesting presentation from Dr. Giordano. Unbelievable. I don't want to give too much away from it, but I will drop some details on it in some of the shorts, either here on YouTube or on IG Reels, so you can see what's upcoming with that. I think you're really going to find this one intriguing, interesting, and wow, it's groundbreaking information, so I can't wait to share that with you. Listen, have a happy new year. Enjoy the rest of your day with your family. Be aware, be awake, guys. And really soon, we will be dropping some Fight the Psyops merch, a hat, a shirt, a hoodie. Can't wait to share that with you. Look, again, if you like this content, you appreciate and value what we're doing here, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Also consider giving us a thumbs up. Drop a comment down below with your thoughts on this whole situation. I want to hear from you, and I want to interact with you guys. Also, guys, look, if you want to, you can donate and support what we're doing. We're independently run. All right. Down below, there's a link in the description, joeyvantes.com/donate to support what we're doing. And you can also pick up an ebook or audio book, How to Fight Ideological Subversion. There's a couple freebies on our site too at joeyvantes.com that you can download. You can always sign up for our members only as well, where you get exclusive content, exclusive access to so much more than what we do here on these lives. I cannot wait to see you soon. We'll be starting off a new schedule, providing information and live sessions Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. and 7 p.m. Pacific time. I can't wait to do this. We're going to drop little segments in here to give you guys the most updated content, information, news to keep y'all awake. Thank you so much. And until next time, remember, fight the Psyops.